your eyes for a minute. Close your eyes for a second.
Day 2 of the girls' trip in Colorado, hosted by none other than Angel, is giving I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. It is a hot mess. Better than living in a jungle, I would say. Now, I'm gonna give it to Giselle. According to her, if you're unable to shower or shave, then what the hell are you doing there? Get out. Pretty much, that's exactly what's giving. Mayhem and chaos, and the girls are not exactly happy with the events that's unfolding, just mainly around proper hygiene, accommodation, and the long travel back and forth. Now let's get into the talking point that was this latest. It is a rocky road to sisterhood, and I must say, I'm unsure if the road is paved with rocks or the road is paved with glass at this point, because there is no sisterhood happening in this episode. With the girls being high and dry in episode 14, let's just say episode 15 is a ticking time bomb for a disastrous end to this particular girls' trip. All in part to the fact that Angel did not plan this trip properly. And I guess I would have to agree here. I do understand the point of view from the girls who were, should I say, left unshaved, unshowered. They didn't even brush their teeth. They were left a hot mess. And this is where episode 15 kicked off. The girls were now on their way to Aspen on a private jet on a Falcon 300. Now, they were smelling. Even though they tried to cover up with all of the makeups they could have, according to them, they were smelling. Breath smelt, body stunk. Now, personally, this is a pet peeve for me. Like, this is relieving all of my childhood trauma. I do not think I will be going anywhere where you haven't got the basic necessity. This is according to Stacy. It is a basic human right to have water. I have lived my childhood without water, and I know that trauma. And just having to watch this lady struggle through the basic necessity gave me trauma, reignited my childhood trauma. There is no way I will be on vacation and not have access to water. And this is exactly what the girls are arguing and fighting about. Now, so they are on their way to Aspen to have a time of their life, but then obviously they have to address the bad accommodation situation that they had. Now, on the drive to the airport, we could hear Angel having to relieve the conversation she had with Jazzy privately. Jazzy obviously decided she was going to tattletale on Monique following the conversation that they had in relation to Angel wanting to seek approval from her husband before having to do a pajama night with the girls. Now, according to Monique, it was deja vu for her, given that she had to fake an appearance that she was happy when in fact she was not. And so she felt Angel might be in the same situation. Now, she did not exactly directly say Angel's marriage is in trouble. We did hear that, okay? She didn't say that. But this is what happens with Chinese whisper. When it is get past the cross, it is not in the same context. That is it in the same worded version. And so Monique was a little bit upset. We're going to come to that. But Angel was so irate and livid. And with the girls in the background singing to or dancing to her tune. And this is what is surprising for me with regards to Tia. You know what? She's giving pick me. Like, she is giving pick me. I did not see Tia to be stuck in Angel's. Quite literally, she is. Now, I can understand as a realtor, business, you go where the business and the money is. This is a big commission if eventually Angel decides to buy a house in Potomac under Tia. So I can understand, hobnob with the client until you get your sale. Yes. However, let's not be blinded by all the antics of what Angel did with the ladies and their accommodation. It is quite embarrassing that you were not on top of your girls. You're not checking in on them. You left them literally high and dry. And unshaven, according to Ginseng. That Tia believing that, 300 Falcon private jet that costs, $8,000 an hour would make up for the fact that the girls had no running water, and that was enough to smoothen things out for Giselle and her crew. Yeah, nah. They needed to still hold Angel accountable for the fact that she didn't deliver with this trip. But before we get ahead of ourselves, again, thank you so much to my existing and new subbies. Thank you for staying on course. And for the newbies, please like, comment, share this channel with your friends, and tell their friends to also share the channel. Like, comment, share your thoughts, hit the notification bell, and thank you for your continued support. With that said, let's get into this rocky road to sisterhood episode. Now, the girls got on the private jet, and you would think, okay, let's probably give Angel a pass. She's done a good deal with the private jet thing. Nah. Giselle wasn't gonna have the last one, so she definitely went in hard on Angel. First things first, Angel tried to apologize after the fact. And that was where it sort of didn't land well for the girls, because they were like, you didn't even check on us. Not once did you check in on us. Even when you found out that there was no water or we had this sewage situation, you didn't check in on us. Angel, to her defense, was trying to say, I went into fixing it mode. But again, you're a bad host. There's no way where you know that the girls came all the way to Colorado for you and they are struggling with the basic necessity. According to Stacy, it's literally pretty much a fundamental American right. And you could not show that empathy or generosity as a host in checking in on your guests to see how their living situation was. I am with Giselle on this. Well, Giselle went on to let Angel know that she'll be taking the trip, from here on out. She has booked the girls to the Four Seasons, where they are going to be accommodating for the rest of their stay in Colorado, and they're hoping that things will get better from there. But like I said, the flight to Aspen wasn't a comfortable one. They did try to make it up a little bit, but the animosity was already widespread, and yeah. And what didn't land well for me was the fact that Tia and Kiana did not seem to understand that the girls were struggling with the separation and the fact that they did not have the best accommodation, and they were still not understanding their plight. And I totally get it. You're living in luxury. Why would you be bothered? You can pretend to be bothered, but why would you? And I guess you don't want to get into Angel's bad side, so she doesn't kick you out into the unhealthy or an unhygienic accommodation. Pretty much that. Now the girls arrived in Aspen, and I was like, okay, how do we redo or kickstart or restart what's already falling like a train wreck? Well, they didn't really. They had lunch at an exclusive restaurant. Now it's quite strange because Angel was all about, I'm going to take these girls to my playground and show them how I roll. But then she went to a restaurant that she had not been before. And I'm like, how are you showing the girls how you roll when you're taking them to places you haven't even been? Now, during this particular lunch sit down, Monique decided to confront the jazzy Chinese whisper-like situation. And this is where she actually, confronted Angel to explain what she said and what she meant by what she said. Pretty much, she wasn't calling out Angel's relationship, nor she wasn't calling out Angel's husband. She was just speaking to the fact that she saw some similarities in her situation. And so she wanted to share in hoping that that wasn't where Angel was at. Angel was like, well, you be about your business. There's nothing to compare. The only comparison is the fact that they are football players. And that's where the comparison sits at. My relationship is pristine. It's perfect. And so you do you, boo, and I will do me, boo. Safe to say, Angel wasn't taking on that advice at all. But you know what? It is what it is. Monique has her opinion, shared it. It didn't land well because it was delivered by the wrong person. I felt if Monique had a conversation with Angel directly, it might have been received Not that it would have been taken on board, but at least it would have been acknowledged to an extent. Giselle wanted to know, why didn't you get a nanny prior? And that was the same question I asked. Apparently, she did get a nanny, but they needed to also get the nanny schedule to align with their schedule. I'm like, BS on this. You had ample time about this trip. You knew all the details about this trip. And so you could have sourced out a caregiver that would work with your schedule. So you telling us this is complete BS, in my opinion. And I just feel like Angel is full of all the lies. She's full of stories. She tries to portray herself as being grand, but then there's a lot of holes in her story. And this is where Wendy was like, why don't you just stand on your truth? Because you didn't want us to come stay with you? Yes, because you don't like us. And that's fair. Stand on your truth and not try and fake that you like us. Because your attitude and what is happening shows the exact opposite. And I think I kind of agree here. Jazzy chimed in by saying that, yeah, she took on Tia by default. I don't understand this. I did understand the fact that Tia is now hobnobbing really closely or trying to be besties with Angel. Angel confirmed, yes, she would have loved Jazzy, or she had wanted Jazzy to be in her home with them. Unfortunately, she couldn't accommodate or organize a third room. BS again. BS again. And this is my take. Now, this is allegedly. I actually feel that those guys that were so rude to the ladies when they came to Angel's house were the ones that organized this particular Airbnb. And given the fact that Angel had told them all of the experiences that she's endured with the ladies in Potomac, made them feel we're going to pay these girls back by giving them a shitty accommodation. That's my take. Make with it whatever you want. That's my opinion, because there's no way when you are trying to promote a business that's all about tourism and you're here making a whole damn mess of the situation. Now, let's just say lunch didn't go down well. The girls then proceeded to Kimosabe. Now, I thought Kimosabe was like, an outlet, was like a winery of sorts. Not knowing that Kimosabe was just, like a shop that sells drink and mainly leather hats, okay? And they were all hyped about buying hats and leather goods. I'm like, really? Is this what you guys flew all the way to Aspen for, to buy leather goods? Probably the highest spender was Angel, maybe spending about $5,000. I'm like, for what? Leather hats? Cowboy hats? You guys are unserious. I was like, there's no way this trip is going downhill so fast. They went upstairs in the lounge area, and this is where Mauricio joined the ladies. Now, honestly, I can't explain this because Giselle was very fidgety, very uncomfortable. She was acting very weird. Now, Ashley and Stacey on the other hand were acting really thirsty. They were going for Mauricio like they wanted this man. They wanted to eat him up. I was like, what is going on? Stacey, are you that thirsty? Stacey was like, let me know. I'm going to try and get his number for you, Ashley. Ashley was like, I'm not sure, but maybe not. I'm like, what? Giselle had to let them know that this is Kaale's husband, regardless of where the situation is at present, that they are not together, we're not confused. You guys, back off. I'm like, yes, back off. Not all men should be lost after Ashley and Stacey. And Ashley, you're doing too much. Stacey, I thought you knew better. But you're taking this whole thing a little bit too much. Like, I mean, I know you say you're not a hoe, but you're overdoing it right now. Now, so this is where it sort of ended, and it also did not end well, because the girls were now about to set the tone for day 3 of the girls trip in Colorado. And Giselle basically said, I am taking on the show from here on out. We're going to go to the 4 Seasons. We're going to have all of this planned. We're going to do this. We're going to have brunch the next morning before we exit or depart for Potomac. Now, Angel was sort of sidelined because this is her trip, right? And it's like, no, I've got other plans. And Giselle is like, ain't that happening anymore? You've had your chance. Now I'm taking over. This is where it ends. Now, do I see a sisterhood in the making. No, this looks like a hot mess and it's a disaster waiting to unfold. So we're definitely going to catch up with the ladies in episode 16 to find out what they decide, who the girls are going to go, because it's like the girls are now caught in the middle of Angel and Giselle's superiority here. It's a superiority contest in Angel's back foot. But I would say, Angel, you sort of laid your bed in an uncomfortable space, a spot. And so Giselle sort of hijacked the show on this holiday on you. I don't know. I'm on the fence on this. And I don't see it ending well. But guys, come on in the comment section and share your thoughts. Tell me what you think. And I guess we'll unpack episode 16 as it unfolds next week. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Remember, you are deserving always. I'll see you next time. Bye.